How you doing, folks? This is Rex from the Buckeyenest coming to you with another video of From a Veteran's Point of View. This is episode 8. I was watching this video today, and I'm kind of behind here because I wanted to do these things almost every day of some kind, so forgive me. This is episode 8, as I said, and I had to record this, and of course I'm going to be jumping in every now and then with my thoughts, because this is what our young people, our young adults, wants us conservatives to think about and do for them as they grow older. Never ceases to amaze me how these snowflakes think that they can get everything handed to them on a platter. Which reminds me, I got a joke for you. Maybe I've used this one, maybe I haven't. Do you know what the difference between a liberal and a conservative is? Anybody out there know? If you know, raise your right hand. Okay, I see a couple of you. A conservative will walk down the street and see a penny laying on the ground. They'll bend over and pick it up and put it in their pocket. A liberal will walk down the street and see that same penny laying on the ground, and they'll say to themselves, it ain't worth the effort. I'll get somebody to give me one. That's it. And that's what you're going to hear in this video that I'm going to comment on today. So I hope you enjoy it, and I'll be back.
Supporting Hitler? Are you kidding me? Hitler was a socialist. Hello.
Bro, I ain't got no chill. Apparently there's some protesters up here. Here's one of them. What's wrong with Donald Trump?
He's a dick.
Oh, come on.
Fuck Donald Trump.
Let's have a real conversation. What's wrong with Donald Trump?
What's good about What's right?
Well, he's been
One of the things that never ceases to amaze me about all these young snowflakes we got around here nowadays, and most of you know what I'm talking about when I get into this subject. Back in our day, if we used that kind of language, he's a dick, fuck Donald Trump, Dad and Mom would have been bending us over, grabbing our ankles, and putting a paddle on our ass because we didn't use that kind of language. And I'm sorry if I am using that language myself, but now I'm 61 years old, and I can talk about the young kids nowadays. Unfortunately, I don't have any kids of my own. I guess that's something that I missed. But Donald Trump and our young kids, and this is the future of our country. Let's listen on to this video, because there's another snowflake in there that's going to say something stupid here in a minute.
bringing jobs back to America.
How?
Well, he's already had multiple international companies.
They both made
What about
statements.
GM? What about Carrier?
They both
What about
made,
Ford?
They both made statements saying
Yeah,
Donald
they made
Trump
statements.
did not influence us.
They made statements saying how they're investing money in the United States. That's the statement they made.
Donald Trump didn't do that. Yeah, they did
What happens when cars are like 70 grand?
Cars are already 70 grand. What are you
No, I
talking
just
about?
paid 20 grand. I just paid 18
Okay,
grand.
and you could find a car for 70 grand if
What's
you wanted
Donald
to.
Trump doing about my student debt? Yeah. As a public
Well, did
servant?
Donald Trump sign the dotted line saying taking on that debt?
To
Was that
be a
Trump?
public servant, I have to.
You have to what? Go to school?
Yep.
You have to.
Yeah.
Okay, well, nobody made you do that. You chose that life path.
But I'm serving my country. I'm serving my country as a public servant.
Yeah, so but I'm saying, but did you or did you not choose to take on a student loan?
To serve my country.
Okay, but who
As a public
who
servant.
made that choice?
I did.
So
To
whose
serve my
responsibility
country.
is it?
Just like
Why
the
is that
military
funny?
people.
That's logic.
So wait, hold on. Here's the logic. When the military go overseas and fight and they die, that was their choice to die, right?
Yeah, they chose the greatest honor to give their life for freedom.
I chose the
Absolutely.
greatest honor to serve my nation as a public servant.
Okay, but good for you. And just like going overseas could mean you might die, you taking on student debt means you're going to be in debt. That's called a sacrifice.
Right, but it's not.
Anything else? Hey, so are all you guys protesters here blocking?
Okay. I'm laughing at that part because the second young lady there, after the first one, decided to called Donald Trump some names and things of that nature. Had her say. Then the second one had to come in there and she had to talk about her school, that the federal government needs to pay for her schooling. And the reason for that is she's going to make the ultimate sacrifice and become a politician. Now, as the young man tried explaining to her, she chose that career. It's her job to pay for that schooling. Because, frankly, if the word gets out about this video of her wanting to become a politician, she's got no shot as long as I'm alive. Because when I see her running, I'm going to vote against her. She is so stupid, so lame-brained. She wants us to pay for her schooling. And then I suppose she's going to run for office, whatever it is she decides to run for, and she's going to go out and tell everybody that they have to vote for her because she's the ultimate human being in the whole wide world. I'm sorry. It was so funny watching her. Now, do you think I'm going to contribute a dime to her education? No, but I'll tell you what I would do. I would contribute a few bucks to her internment in a mentally insane facility in some hospital around the countryside, just to be sure we had her off the street. Because if she wants to run for a political office, we'd be in deep shit. Serious deep shit.
People from getting in? You guys want to get in?
The National Mall.
Okay.
It's the only way.
Apparently they're not getting anyone in. So you guys aren't going to give Donald Trump a chance?
No.
So what happens if things in America get better, people quit rioting, police and civilians, no more protests?
We've had economic growth for the past 6 years.
I have a question. People always say, like, make America great again. When was it great, in your opinion?
You know what? All I know is when I grew up as a kid, I didn't have to worry about going out on the streets and being robbed or being assaulted or having protesters assault me, throw stink bombs at me, throw eggs at me.
Does that happen?
Because I'm white. You don't even know anything about me. You literally just you claim I'm white and that you assume all these things about me. That's racist. Do you realize you're a racist?
It's not possible.
How is it not possible?
I can't be racist against white people.
Well,
Racism is literally the suppression of a minority
Are you
group.
judging me because I'm white?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't like white males.
Why? So that's not racist? That's the definition of racist. This is hilarious. Thank you so much for this YouTube
You're a misogynist pig.
How so?
Because you're a white male.
You don't know anything about me and my relationship with women, other races, my past, my upbringing.
You didn't answer my question. You didn't answer my
That's what they do.
Here's what I want. Here's what I want. Here's what I want.
When was it great?
Listen.
Why is it great? When was it great?
Are you gonna listen? Everything that is made in this world comes from Asia, typically China. You know why that is? Because all the American companies ship their manufacturing over there. That's why companies are now building manufacturing in America and bringing jobs back. That's how it works. So now every time you pick up a product, it might not say made in China.
19 minutes into the presidency.
Exactly. So Donald Trump has done more. Wait. I'm sorry. Were those people meeting with Trump or Obama?
Not Trump.
No, they were meeting with Trump. Literally pictured with Trump in Trump Tower. So does that answer your question? Yes, I did. Manufacturing. This phone was made in China, probably. Foxconn said they're going to bring manufacturing of iPhones to America. So how do you feel about that? So does that not answer your question? Manufacturing back in America, less regulations on small business.
To the bottom of this. So America will be great, you're saying, when manufacturing is back?
Here's the honest truth. America will be great when we, the people, are back in charge and not a corrupt government. That's why we elected Donald Trump, because he's not a career politician, okay? He hasn't had to make stances. He's a terrible human being. Do you realize that Donald Trump is a very charitable man?
He's evil. He's a vile pig.
How so? How so? How so?
He's a racist. He's a misogynist.
What has he done that's racist? What has he done that's racist? What has he done that's racist?
Whether or not he's done anything, he said it, and words matter.
What did he say?
Words matter. Oh, he said a hell of a lot. I don't even need
What? If they said so much, you shouldn't have a problem.
He started his platform calling Mexicans rapists. That was his
No, wrong.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure that
You said illegal immigrants are coming here and raping citizens. That is a fact.
Mexicans raped. You know, I was raped by a white man. I was gonna say, pretty sure.
Is that why you hate? Is that funny? Are you serious right now?
I've been raped by a white man.
So is that why you hate white men?
No, but I mean, I wasn't raped by an illegal immigrant. Yeah.
Okay, but are you saying that is?
It was a white man in a college dorm. Like, I mean, you don't have to be an illegal immigrant to rape women.
You guys are just brilliant.
There are people that come across the border every day.
What I see and what's sad about all of it is these young people, they don't want to listen. They got it planted in their brain, their pea-picking little brains, that what they know is right and everything else is wrong. Back in our day, and I'm talking to my generation, there was jobs. Ford was still here. A lot of the automakers that were still in the country. Manufacturing jobs were pretty good at the time. Definitely with my dad and my granddad back in their days. America was great then. America was strong. The economy was strong. The dollar was strong. We were looked up to as a country. And then all the stupidity hit. Vietnam hit, for one. While the good men were off fighting in the Vietnam War, and the women, I don't want to forget them. We're all fighting in the Vietnam War and getting killed off, as this young lady says, is their prerogative, their responsibility. Well, most of them back in that day didn't have that opportunity. They were drafted, with the exception of myself here. I enlisted in 1972. Served from 72 to 75. So she's going to make this statement that veterans go off the war and get killed because they choose to. She's going to make the statement that we support the veterans while they do all this with housing and food and clothing and off-base things when we tend to live off-base and this kind of stuff. But there's a difference between taking an oath and going out and living up to that oath, living up to the promises you make in that oath, as versus going to college and trying to learn to speak English. They didn't even do that very well when they were in college, and if some of them are still in college, they better take English classes again. So it's a sad situation. I suppose the only good that's going to come out of it is I pray I'll be long gone and dead before people like these young people take control of our country. Because we'll definitely be speaking Chinese and Russian and Mexican and all kinds of other different languages, because all those foreign nations will attack America from different directions, and they'll all own the land and split the land up, and there won't be no United States Army left. And that young lady that's going to be a politician, she'll be screaming for help, wanting to know what happened to all those soldiers and Marines and Air Force and Navy people that enlisted and put their life on the line, and where they're at now. Yeah, she'll be screaming for help. She'll be crying when they whip her, or maybe when they lay her out on some kind of a rack and about 50 of them line up and rape her just for the fun of it. Just for the fun of it. Yep, they'll be crying. She said she was raped by a white man. Well, if she continues on her path, she'll get a chance to get raped by some Somalians and some Arabs and some other Middle Eastern Asian type guys that's become part of ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Hezbollah. She'll get that opportunity. Maybe she'll like it. I don't think so. I'll be back in another minute or two. Watch the rest of this video and I'll have final closing comments. because I'm really, at this point, amazed that these young people are making these kinds of statements.
Half of the women that illegally cross the border are sexually assaulted during the trip.
Where'd you hear that?
It's a statistic from the Border Patrol.
So wait, are you
people that cross are not?
Are you denying that illegal immigrants have raped U.S. citizens and even killed them?
I'm not.
So you don't want to do anything about that?
I mean, what are we doing about
We have a justice
what are we
system.
doing about the white
Legal
people who
citizens
kill
that do the same thing.
Right.
Why don't you want to fight them?
I don't support Hillary either.
So what do you guys want to do? Like, what's your goal then?
Have a government that represents the people and listens to the people.
And who's that? And who's that? And who is that?
Not Paul Ryan.
I'll tell you.
Who is that? Let me guess. Bernie Sanders? This is perfect. I love this. This is great. Bernie Sanders. Show us Bernie. Bring out Bernie. Bernie Sanders. There he is. Okay. All right. So you realize that Bernie Sanders had the election stolen from him and let Hillary Clinton get away with it. So what? He let Hillary Clinton get away with it. Why did he support Hillary Clinton? Why did he support Hillary? Why did Bernie Sanders support Hillary Clinton? Why does he take money from Big Pharma?
Because he doesn't take money from Big Pharma.
How come he bought a new house and a new car after he finished running?
He made a lot of money. It's your point.
So he's a fraud.
How does that make you a fraud?
Well, he talks about how you need to be poor, you need to be a socialist.
Answer my question about when America
I've
was
answered
free.
your question multiple times.
Hi, gang. Well, I'm back. Got to make a comment about this Congressman Trey Gowdy I've been watching on the internet lately. Before I forget, you see him back there? My buddy Franco is back. He's got my back. So I can sit here and talk now in peace, with peace of mind, because Franco's watching my back. But anyway, back to Trey Gowdy. Trey Gowdy is a Republican congressman for North Carolina. Pretty awesome guy in my book, because he is like Donald Trump. He speaks his mind, and he speaks the truth, and he tells it how it is, and he's not afraid of who he's telling it to. So I thought you might enjoy this little video as he talks about our borders and how the Ninth Circuit Court cut down the immigration policy that he put in effect on his first couple of days of presidency. Now, I know this is old hat video by now, but it proves a point. It shows you the difference between the liberal snowflakes in the other video and Congressman Trey Gowdy. Now, if this man ever decides to run for president, I'd vote for him. I'd vote for him in a heartbeat, because he thinks common sense, he talks common sense, and he cares about his country and the people he's trying to serve. So enjoy, and I'll be back.
Statement. I want to thank all of our witnesses for being here today, and I want to express, Mr. Steinle, to you my profound sympathy, to you and to Kate's mother, and to her brother and all of your family, and those who cherished her for the tragic loss of your beautiful daughter. The preeminent function of government is to provide for the safety and security of the law-abiding public. It is among the chief reasons we consent to be governed and bound by a collection of laws. We want those that we love to be protected, so we abide by the law in hopes that others will feel similarly bound. What makes this nation different is our respect for and adherence to the law, because the law is the greatest unifying force in our culture, and it is the greatest equalizing force in our culture. In fact, we think so highly of the law that we make aspiring citizens take an oath that contains 6 separate references to the law. This system of laws failed Kate Steinle, as it has failed others like her. And this is more than an academic discussion about prosecutorial discretion. It is more than political pandering to certain voting constituencies. It is more than the supremacy clause or the commandeering clause. It is quite literally life and death. And this is the real world where everyone isn't a dreamer and everyone isn't a valedictorian. There are criminals motivated by malice and a conscious disregard for the lives of others, and there are cities more interested in providing a sanctuary for those criminals than they are providing a sanctuary for their own law-abiding citizens. I've been on this committee, Mr. Chairman, for almost 5 years now, and I have listened closely to the debate over immigration. You don't hear many witnesses called by our colleagues on the other side to talk about law enforcement or background checks or enforcement mechanisms. You do hear certain phrases repeated with catatonic frequency, as if rote repetition will somehow make it true. You hear phrases like functional control over the border, uttered by witnesses who are uniquely well positioned to know better. You hear citizenship for 11 million undocumented aspiring Americans, as if 11 million of any category could pass a background check. You hear arguments against empowering state and local law enforcement to assist federal authorities, and those are the most illogical arguments of all. We trust state and local law enforcement to investigate all manner of crime, from murder to sex assault to kidnapping to narcotics trafficking, but God forbid they help us enforce immigration laws. State and local law enforcement are good enough to provide protection for members of Congress in this city and when they are back home. But somehow, some way, all that changes when it comes to the issue of immigration. They are no longer smart enough to enforce federal immigration law. And even though some do not trust state and local law enforcement to enforce federal law, they are more than happy to allow state and local officials to openly ignore that same federal immigration law. Which brings us to that benign-sounding phrase, sanctuary cities. The definition of sanctuary is a place of refuge or safety. It almost sounds utopian. Place of refuge, a place of safety. Refuge for whom? Safety for whom? For a young woman walking on a pier with her father? Or for a career recidivist like Juan Francisco Lopez Sanchez, who had a quarter century's worth of lawlessness dating all the way back to 1991. He committed local, state, and federal crimes in at least 5 separate states. He was deported 5 times, and each time had so little regard for the law that he re-entered that border that we are supposed to have functional control over. His procedural history is every bit as disturbing. In May of 2011, this defendant was convicted and sentenced to 46 months imprisonment for illegal re-entry again. At the conclusion of that sentence, he was released from the Bureau of Prisons to a known sanctuary jurisdiction for the ostensible prosecution of an oil drug case. And of course, San Francisco did not prosecute that oil drug case. They dismissed it, which surprises exactly no one. And then they released this defendant. They did not return him to the Bureau of Prisons or to federal probation. They did not honor the detainer placed on him by ICE. They released someone they knew was not legally in this country and had a criminal history dating back to the early 1990s. And we are given a litany of excuses for policies like this. We are told that we need policies like the one in San Francisco so people will cooperate with law enforcement. And I want you to consider how utterly illogical that is. We are releasing known criminals back into society so society will help us catch known criminals. And of course, some of our friends on the other side say all of this is necessary so folks will, to use the president's word, come forward or get on the books or get right with the law. I want you to ask yourself, what in this defendant's background leads you to believe that he would ever come forward or get on the books or get right with the law? He was already on the books. Better than that, he was in jail. And he was there because he had not complied with a single damn thing we had asked him to do. So are we supposed to catch him again after San Francisco releases him? Do we wait on another victim? Is that the strategy behind sanctuary cities? Release them and then wait until they victimize someone else? Is that what we mean by coming forward? The president and others constantly talk about comprehensive immigration reform, but they are very light on the details when it comes to enforcement and background checks. They just fundamentally fail to understand that border security, both borders, by the way, both of them. And internal security are fundamental conditions precedent to fixing our broken immigration system. Mr. Steinley, about a year ago, there was a precious little girl waiting on the steps of the Capitol for me after votes, and I knew what was coming, so I could not walk past her. I knew or suspected that she would repeat those phrases that so-called advocates teach children to repeat to members of Congress. But I had to stop, as any father of a daughter would. And I stopped, and the little girl said, "I want to pray for you." None of the stuff that the advocates tell the children to say. She just said, "I want to pray for you." So I picked her up, and in a mixture of Spanish and English, she told God that she was not here legally, but she wanted to stay. And everyone that I know would want to help that little girl. But everyone also should have wanted to help your little girl, Mr. Steinley. She wasn't 5, but she's still your daughter, and this country should have protected her. And I hope you're given answers. I hope the politicians in San Francisco will explain to you why they thought it was more important to provide a sanctuary to Juan Francisco Lopez Sanchez than they did to provide a sanctuary for your daughter. And I hope this administration will tell you why a Bureau of Prisons released a 5-time illegal entrant to a known sanctuary city for a piddling damn drug charge that wound up being dismissed. And I hope San Francisco will tell you why they released a convicted felon rather than honor the detainer in place or just simply return him to ICE. You deserve those answers, and you deserve to know that your daughter's sacrifice had meaning and purpose, and that her death will serve to save the lives of other people. When Trayvon Martin was shot, and even before our criminal justice system had acted, the president said that could have been his son. For those of us that have daughters, which includes the president, your daughter could have been our daughter. I used to have a quote on the wall of my old office at the courthouse. It was given to me by a victim advocate. It was from a Greek philosopher named Solon. I'll paraphrase it, but this is pretty close. He was asked what city was the best one to live in, and he answered, that city where those who are not injured by crime take up the cause of those who are as if it had been them. That's the kind of country we should want, too. One where we do not have to lose our daughters to feel the pain that you feel. And we shouldn't have to lose daughters to know that no one else should have to feel like you feel this morning.
Well, that's it for the episode 7 of. All right, let's back up. That's it for episode 8 of From a Veteran's Point of View. I want to remind y'all to not forget to go up on you. There goes my nose again. I don't know why it does that, but it just drives me nuts anyway. You don't forget when you go up on my YouTube channel to subscribe. Click that button in the bottom right corner that says subscribe. I'm coming up on 1,000 videos. Did a lot of karaoke up in Cleveland and got around the countryside. I've even recorded some presidents, a couple Congress people, and some politicians, face to face, not like the stuff you see here where I'm doing screen capture stuff. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like it, comment about it, share it with your friends, family, relatives. I would appreciate it. Don't forget now, we got Patriot Freedom Festival coming up in May. Comes up every year in May. It's an annual event. It's held at the Dayton VA Medical Campus on Memorial Day weekend. This year, 2017, it'll be on the 27th and the 28th. So you need to come out there. It's free. A lot of good music, a lot of good food, a lot of neat people, a lot of things to see, fun things to do, and of course I'll be there with the camera. So until next time, folks, drive safe. God bless. And if you run across Trey Gowdy running for president, consider voting for him. You'll see more videos of him I put up here in the future. Bye.